Hello and welcome to another edition of Simply Fit. I'm your host, Sandy White, and as usual, I am super duper excited. This is our second season on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, and I'm grateful to be in partnership with them because their mission is to educate, empower, and to encourage. And ours, we're on a mission to save 1 million lives by helping and encouraging individuals to live a simply fit life through health and nutrition so that they're able to overcome suicide and depression. So this is why I'm so happy for the guest that we're going to be talking with today. She has a lot of information to share with you all to help with stress management. Because remember, guys, I always tell you, being fit is more than just exercise. So this is going to be a really good segment today, and I'm so happy to have her on here. But before we get into talking to Miss Essie, I want to remind you guys to click the like button, share the segments, and also donate, because WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network is a nonprofit organization. And there's also a button for the, so you can actually select and see what the other broadcasters are presenting to you guys. There's a plethora of information that will help you and your community. And also while you're on there, on that button area, check out all of the wonderful things that WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network is doing. So now let's jump right into it, guys. We're going to be talking about stress management, and then we got a couple other little nuggets that Miss Essie Magege is going to be providing for you guys today. She is, guys, she's got a lot going on. I mean, because she's been sought after internationally as a speaker because of the quality of work that she's putting in. Her company is all chemical center, and she's going to talk more about that. It's a plethora of information that they have to offer strictly for your mind, body, and soul. And a lot of you guys are taking care of yourself, but you need to get your family involved. And she's got a program that'll incorporate you and your family, so you're not doing this journey alone. And guys, not only is she a sought after speaker, she's a health coach, and she's an author of the upcoming book, Happiness for No Reason, Simplified. A lot of you guys don't know how to be happy just because. You got to have reasons. And there's no reason that you should be happy other than just because. And now, I just want to bring her on and just let her just give you all of these wonderful nuggets. So welcome to the show, Essie. Yay! How are you today?
I'm doing great, Sandra. Sandra, thank you for having me on your show. And I want to say thank you to WYTV7 for having me here as well. I am so excited to be here with you both.
Yes. And guys, outside of all of the nuggets that she's going to give, if you stick to the end of the broadcast, Essie has given you guys a wonderful gift. It's a 21-day stress management challenge program. So she'll have that link for you guys at the end of this segment. So make sure you stay tuned. So Essie, can you just let us know, like I said, I was telling the viewers, you've got a lot going on, but right now what you're focusing on is stress management. What's the reason that, I mean, I know my reason that I talk to the audience, the ones that gravitate around me, of why it's important for stress management. But what's the reason you're gravitating to help out the community and your clients in managing stress management?
Sandra, thank you. Thank you for asking that question. So I've been a health provider, as you mentioned. I practiced as a PA in the emergency room for over a decade, basically 10 years, over 10 years. So one of the things that occurred to me is, we see a lot of patients, who come in with, diabetes, hypertension, with a disease. But how about if we can prevent it in the first place? How about if we have measures to prevent these diseases? That way we don't have to treat it in the first place. So because of that, I went into stress management, because stress has been shown to be one of the things that causes diseases, such as heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, anxiety, depression, and if you intervene early and you identify those habits that continuously insult the autonomic nervous system, and we'll go into that in a second, that continuously triggers our stress response, you are able to break this and change the habit and therefore prevent disease. So that's one of the reasons why I went into disease prevention through stress management. Um, another thing about the stress response is we we knowingly and sometimes even unconsciously triggers our stress response. And the stress response is also known as the fight or flight response. It's our emergency reaction system. This is what keeps us safe. This is what our body uses for survival. But however, as the term goes, emergency reaction system, meaning it's triggered during emergencies. But we unknowingly, we trigger this response even when we're not in emergencies. And with repetitive chronic triggering of our stress response, it causes imbalances, and this leads to diseases.
I'm so happy that you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that they're training themselves. Your brain is neuroplastic, which means that it's capable of whatever the prior experiences are that are triggering you for the negative that's causing the stress. It can be changed if you allow it to change. And one of the things you mentioned in your upcoming book is that you need to come up with trigger words. Can you give the audience some examples of possible trigger words that they can train their brain to undo the negative and put in positive triggers in place, so that when negativity occurs, they can approach it in a much calmer manner? Because in my opinion, if you are not calm in a stressful situation, you make things worse. And when you are calm, not only do you manage that situation, but you de-escalate it. So what are like 3 to 4 trigger words that that you train your clients to come up with? How is that process?
Amazing. So to use the trigger words and to make it effectively work for you, it's first to recognize the emotion that is causing that response. So let's say, for instance, if I'm angry and I don't recognize that I'm angry or recognize the emotion angry, and then it's really the trigger word. The trigger word would work, but it's more effective if you are more aware, you're able to identify the emotion and then now use the trigger word. So that way your reaction is different, it changes. So because the whole thing about this the stress management program that we offer at my company is we help the patient become very conscious and very aware of those emotions that cause those reactions, those stressful reactions. So I'll walk you through a case that I just recently saw. It's so it's a funny case. I was called to intervene in a medical case that this individual was refusing to do a procedure because they associated it to pain, and this individual would rather continue to bleed than to do this procedure that would help them. And I was called to intervene in this process because they knew what I do. So I went to this individual, and within 5 minutes, I was able to change, their perception of what they thought the procedure would do, and enable this individual to do the process, and save their life. So, and the reason how I was able to do that is first become aware of what is causing this person to react this way. So when it comes to trigger words, it becomes more effective when you're able to do that. So if I'm angry, I recognize that I'm angry, right? By, scanning my body from head to toe, recognize that emotion, acknowledge it, become friends with it. It's not we judge our emotions as bad, And when we judge our emotions as bad, then we run away from it. So accept every part of you. And then after you recognize how your body responds. So let's say, for instance, when I'm angry, I start to scream or I yell, right? And as soon as the anger begins to come and I recognize that I do yell, right, I can stop it by using trigger words. So I'm angry. I feel the tightness in my body, my stomach. Then I can say, I choose to relax. I'm relaxed. I'm completely relaxed. Or if that's the trigger, whatever works for you. Or the other thing you could do is the other thing you can do is you feel the pain or the as the abnormal sensation, or if it's a painful sensation, whatever that sensation is that it's triggered by anger. Recognize it. Sometimes I change my breathing because every emotion has a breathing pattern. I change it and then say, I'm happy. I choose to be happy. And then I begin to image pictures of me being happy. I recollect a very happy time. I feel it. I see it. I make it real. Because the mind doesn't really know the difference between what is actually happening and what is imagined. It will respond, it will react the same way. So that's one way to use trigger words. But I really want to emphasize that it's first to identify the emotion first. And then you can now use trigger words. And you will notice that the more you begin to do this, the more you train your body to do this, it becomes autopilot. That you won't even have to go through this whole process again. Once you become angry, or let's say you're experiencing a distressful emotion, you won't even have to go through the whole process. It's just say your trigger word, and then your body responds in the same way.
So, okay. Oh, no. I was just going to ask, is that when you're training individuals to recognize, because it is so imperative that people get this, because that was a key nugget. You said recognize when you're angry, because of the way people have been raised when they were smaller. A lot of the times it is abnormal. It's like so incorrect. But they're normal, and the correct way to be raised and understand and walk through your emotions are totally different than what, I don't even want to say society, but what we all know is correct. So in that scenario, would that be a case where you would suggest to a person to go through your hypnotherapy session? Because those are bad habits when people are putting themselves in harm's way in their mind to avoid pain, and you can clearly see, okay, it's not all registering upstairs. I mean, because you just said this person was bleeding out, and it's like, I'm trying to help you. You need to go through this procedure. And to me, those are the belief systems aren't correct. So would you suggest the hypnotherapy sessions that you guys have? Or I'm just trying to help the audience to know a really good way to recognize when their thinking is off, because some folks don't realize when they're off. I mean, with health and wellness is again, I'm stressing to folks, being healthy is more than just exercise. You gotta recognize those negative keys so you can move forward. So again, is hypnotherapy a time for that, or is it something more pressing is when that session would come into play?
Yes, Sandra, so we do hypnotherapy. We do that as well. However, you don't necessarily need hypnotherapy to become present and aware to the sensations that occur in your body. So, and I think that is the awareness that I really want to emphasize, is becoming aware of what's going on inside of us. Becoming aware of our thoughts and our emotions. That's our internal world, basically. So yes, we do hypnotherapy for the more like serious stuff, but this is just like basic. So this technique is actually called simple as ABC. Simple as ABC. A meaning awareness and acknowledgement of the emotion. So let's say, we kind of know when we're angry. We know when we are feeling intense emotions. We know when we are our heart is racing, and all of that stuff. So it's just a matter of just shifting that attention inwards. So anytime we see ourselves like in a really distressful situation, where we catch ourselves yelling, or we catch ourselves like sweaty pants, those are all stress response, and if we just think A, simple as ABC. A, acknowledge, become aware, bring the attention, the focus inwards. What am I feeling? What is this emotion? Maybe I should get to know this emotion, because it is not about the emotion, it's about the response to the emotion, because we are trying to change the response to the emotion. And those responses is what lead to outcomes. How we respond is what lead to outcomes. So if, let's say, for instance, we respond because we're so frightened and so stressed, and we respond in a negative way, it will lead to a negative outcome. If we respond in a very resourceful, very productive way, we get better outcomes. So,
no, go ahead.
So A is become aware, accept the emotion. It's not there to hurt you. It's part of you. So become aware of the emotion. And then B is breathe, break. You can snap out of it. It's really that easy. Just you snap out of it, and then immediately followed by C, change. Change to a resourceful state. Change to think of a happy situation. Think of a state where you're very resourceful. It's just that easy. And once you begin to think, just even changing the thought, your body reacts to that thought as well. And then in a resourceful state, your mind is clear. There've been so many research done about the effect of doing things when we're in resourceful state, happy state. It's a big difference. So when you're in a resourceful state, and you've changed from anger now to a resourceful state, your outcome is better.
And I agree with the ABC process. And I asked that question because when people, again, as we said, their belief systems are off, if yelling in the house is what they have been accustomed to from a small child, they really don't recognize that they should, as an adult, that is not acceptable. And as adults, we have to be responsible for our own behavior, because a lot of times, again, as I mentioned earlier, children do get trained incorrectly. And a lot of the habits that we see in children as they grow up and become adults, that's something that was trained to them when they were small. So that's why I was asking you, when do you incorporate hypnotherapy? Because a lot of times that's years of embedded trauma that they think is normal. So with your work, how do you impact society with the question that I just said? I mean, and I know it's more loaded than what I just said, but people do get trained from a young age, and then this is 20, 30 years of bad belief systems stuck in them. So how does your training of help our society to rid folks from that, so we can live in a peaceful, balanced society?
I do a lot of stress management, and we also do hypnotherapy. So depending on how major or severe this, let's say it's a habit that they come into my clients, or the person is coming to me with, we use either hypnotherapy, or we use NLP, or we just use straight coaching. So it's not everyone that requires hypnotherapy, because I know that when people start thinking about the mind, they're like, oh, no. So we can do it even without. So it's just straight up coaching, straight up NLP. And what we really do specifically is we bring that awareness again to the emotion, and then we're able to now start helping the client change the outcome. So in other words, once you change a perception, you will change the let's say the behavior. So we can do, depending on what it is, we do mindset change, We also, which we'll talk about a little more, is the stress response. We intervene. We have strategies to intervene at different levels of the stress response, and that could be either just we give our clients tools, and it could just even be something as simple as just asking deep-seated questions. So let's say, for instance, someone is going through a stressful state, like has a perception that is like reoccurring. So I'll give an example. Let's say someone got into an argument, and the argument is done. They go home and they keep replaying the event, keep replaying this event, reliving this stressful situation over and over. What we do for those clients is just simple as just challenge the perception, because there's no one way of seeing things. So we give them even just things as deep-seated questions that they ask themselves to just let go of that perception, and they're open to the possibilities of
Of
life.
change. Yeah, I like that. Can you give the audience like three? Because we've been having a really good conversation with Essie, and I didn't realize, but we got about 10 more minutes within this segment. So what I want right now, give them about 3 to 5 tips on how they can go through their journey to having a wellness in their being on this earth.
I like that. So to become aware, to be awareness of your being. I like how Sandra phrased that. It's really in all depths of that wellness of your being is becoming aware of what's going on inside of you. So one, I would say, become aware of your emotional triggers. So what are those things that make you upset? What are those things that make you angry? What are those things that make you so what are you worried about? So what are those things that put you in fear? So once you start to recognize all of these stressful emotions and become free, they're not there to harm you. Really, they're just emotions. Feel them, become recognize it, acknowledge it, and then you can change it. So you can't change anything that you're not aware of. You cannot change anything you're not aware of. So awareness is one. So become aware of your emotional triggers. And then two, what I will say is do not live in stressful emotions for too long. Don't indulge in them for too long, because those things cause stress to the body and eventually can lead to disease. So once you do feel those distressful emotions, acknowledge it and then change it to its higher form. So let's say, for instance, if you're feeling fearful, replace fear with confidence. It's really not that difficult. It's just becoming aware of it. So the other thing I would say is to become to don't take your perceptions too serious. Don't take your perceptions too serious, as in there is so many ways to see things, and our perceptions are so influenced by so many things. And there was this study, it was done by Dennis Prophet. He actually wrote a book on perceptions, and he did like he in this book he had research that says, okay, even the way our energy levels affect our perception. So let's say, for instance, you're hungry. It changes the way you see things, or let's say even our body shapes also changes the way we see things. So let's say, for instance, if we have a little weight on, and we are climbing, or we have to go, walk long distances, we tend to see the distance a little farther than it actually is. And let's say we're carrying, it doesn't necessarily have to be a weight related. Let's say we're carrying a bag, a heavy bag. The distance, our perception of distance varies, will change. So just don't take, what I'm saying, in other words, don't take your perception too serious. It's not 100% truth, and let's be able to let go and be open to the different possibilities that exist in life.
I agree. And First Peter 5 and 7 God does tell us to give him all of our cares. And that's actually a sin when you're walking around all stressed out and tripping in your mind. Hey guys, we're down to 5 minutes. And I just want Essie to give you guys I want her to tell you guys how to get in contact with her. And I also want you all to remember, she is giving you guys a 21-day stress challenge, de-stress challenge. You do want to take, just go and take that course. It's only 21 days. And the areas we just finished talking about, being happy for no reason and not being stressed out, she has another program, is Happiness Hacks. It's 7 happily effective strategies to walk you through this process that we were talking about today. So Essie, real quick, because we're going to close out, tell them real quick how they can get in touch with you.
You can reach me on my website. It's www.alchemicalcenter.com. And that's ALCHEMICAL, chemicalcenter.com.
Guys, this has been an outstanding segment with Miss Essie, and I'm telling you, take advantage of what she's sharing with you, because I'm telling you, I mean, your brain is like the engine in a car. You can't do one thing and not the other. And I'm going to give you the analogy. I know y'all are tired of hearing this, but if you put gas in your car and you don't put oil, it's going to go for a little while, then it's going to break down. If you put oil in there, no gas, you know you're not going to go anywhere. So take her up on the challenges and the trainings that she's given to you guys. We come on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we provide you with simple tips and strategies so you can live a successful life and you can avoid suicide and depression. Because I'm telling you, when your mind isn't right, you will go down that path, whether it's mild or it's severe, and you don't want to do it at all. But that's the purpose of me being here. I only deal with the mild. She deals with everything else beyond mild. So if you find yourself in that position, don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay. So I just want to remind you guys, I'm Sandy White from Simply Fitt Radio, your #1 health and wellness cheerleader. And we guys will see you guys next week. And thanks for being on the show, Essie. Bye.
It's so much fun. Thank you.